Sorry. I forgot to say, if you provide your email address, the museum's booklet from, I don't know, from 15 odd years ago, The Industrial Archaeology of Spike Island, which is actually quite comprehensive, though I don't believe the conversions of feet to meters are not right. If you want a copy of that, if you give us your email address, we'll send you a copy whether you want it or not. So those who didn't go out will be able to see the grim detail that we uncovered many years ago.
Thank you, Paul. As Peter said, I haven't been a chemist for a very long time. I was a chemist for about 7 years, working in photographic science for Ilford, when they were part of ICI and MC Guiding. And to show you what a good chemist I was working on colour negative. And Ilford never actually introduced the colour negative, so it gives you an impression of how quickly I was found out. And so, what can you do with someone who isn't really very good at anything at all, but can talk about it? They said, well, it's either marketing or politics, and since I didn't go to Eton, so I'm going to talk about, it's there in black and white. There's a couple of black and white images up here. I like to have them around because it makes me feel better about because it gives you something to look at. This print was made in 2015, and these two here were made in 1926. They're my parents, so I know when it was made because it was just before their wedding. And so what it demonstrates is just how long black and white has been around and how important it still is. And I have some other examples which we can look at later if you want to. And so when I thought about this talk, I said, yes, of course I can do that. And what I suddenly became aware of was all the talks I'd ever given were about the history of Ilford. And to call it the history of photography meant that it was at least 8 hours of speaking. And being a marketing person, I could make that last 12. So I decided I had to cut a lot out, and indeed I have cut a lot out. And I focused mainly on black and white. And I'll really run through this very quickly, because otherwise, as I said, I could be here for hours, because I know more than it's safe for any man to know about. So, where did it all start? Well, there was a camera obscura, apparently. Aristotle had one in 350 BC, and commercial cameras of camera obscura were around in the 1600s. The light effect of silver nitrate going black when you left it in the light, William Humberg in 1694. This has been around a long time, and so there's a lot of stuff gone in there. There were bitumen prints. I don't know how they worked. I tried to look it up, but decided that I didn't really want to know anyway. And then Thomas Wedgwood, the son of Josiah Wedgwood, who was obviously the famous Wedgwood, tried to use silver images on plates. They were offered a contract by the Tsar of Russia, but he wanted pictures of all the castles in the UK on his plates. What a strange thing to want as the Tsar of Russia. And so Wedgwood, who had some contact with someone who was playing with silver nitrate, decided it must be possible to do it. He failed, unfortunately, because otherwise he would have predated by about 50 years the actual use of photography. But his work was presented by Humphrey Davy to the Royal Society, which is an interesting link that he actually knew Humphrey Davy at that point. So it all started a long time ago, and there were competing technologies. You may have heard of daguerreotype. It was a silver plate exposed to iodine vapor, so effectively producing silver iodide on a plate. These things are beautiful. If you ever get the chance to see them, they are absolutely magnificent. And that was a very interesting technology at the time. But you can imagine the substrate is a bit expensive. If you're going to have a piece of silver that's big and then make a picture on it, one at a time. That's what expensive. Calotype was just paper soaked in silver nitrate and potassium iodide dried and sensitized. I put that in inverted commas with gallic acid because actually what they were doing was effectively developing, using a developing process. And it was Talbot who is really the father of photography who helped with that process. And so Fox Talbot, 1835, people believe that that was sort of around when the first real image was made that you could say, this is a picture of something. And actually the exposures are incredibly long. And that is a picture of someone taking a picture, as you can see. And if you look very carefully at this image, this person here has a clamp behind his head to keep it still, so that there was no shake in the image because the exposure was so low. So it's come a long way since then, and it's really Fox Talbot who did all the really interesting work, who actually got this to a point where people would say, yeah, I can see how this would be useful. People were dying to take pictures of things. There's some human instinct which says, I want to take pictures of things and record what I've seen. And I understand that because I've been in the photographic industry for so long, and it gets in your blood and you can't help yourself. And probably the most important thing that he did actually was introduce gelatin as the support for the crystals that you form. And I'll come back to that in a little while. This is obviously a bad copy of his first image, and if you've ever been to Laycock Abbey, you'll be able to see that there, and the window is still in place there. And that really was the first sort of image which was realistic, really. And obviously it's the wrong way around, because when you expose the film, you end up with a negative, unless you've got a very special one. So you needed a process that converted that into something else. So in the way it's sort of developed, and there's a very important one, that's Vogel, the picture there, magnificent beard. It seemed necessary to have a beard and moustache in photography. You couldn't survive in photography without one. And the process at the top sounds absolutely hideous, which is silver nitrate added to hot cadmium bromide in gelatin. It was really the first of what was called a photographic emulsion. Now, when I first joined Ilford, I worked on photographic emulsions, and the thing that surprised me about it was that it wasn't an emulsion, it was a dispersion. But that didn't seem to matter for people at Ilford, it was an emulsion. And when I pointed out it was a dispersion, I was told not to be too clever. And but we've always called them emulsion. Dry plates were offered for sale at first time in around 1873, and they were 2 and 6 a dozen. I don't know what size they were, I couldn't find out, but Paul's kind enough to get one of these plates out of the archive, and if you want to have a look at it, this is a beautiful plate. I don't know whether we're able to see it. And it's absolutely beautiful, and he's got lots of these downstairs, some of them 20 by 24 inches. I mean, they are monsters. And I tried to get them to scan, but I can't find anyone who's got a scanner which is good enough quality to scan at that size. But if you look at 2 and 6 there in 1873, which if my maths is correct, is 12.5 pence, that would be £1,000 a box today. So that's how much people wanted to do photography. Vogel found out that if you drop coralline, I don't know what that is, a yellow dye, yellow reddish dye, extended the sensitivity, because silver bromide, iodide, all the silver halides only sensitive to sort of UV to blue light. So you've got a basic problem if you want to take pictures of people, they tend not to be blue. So you have to find some better way of doing it. And the real first manufacturing company that certainly I believe that there was around was Maudsley in Liverpool. And they made dry plates, and they also did photographic printing because people could do it at home. It's too difficult. So the processes, the heating processes with those, and you can see why gelatin silver became the leader, because the exposures on all the rest would make it a little bit impractical. So the reason it succeeded was that it had short exposures, so you didn't have this ridiculous clap behind your head when you took pictures of people. Very inconvenient with children. So what happened here? All photo products were on either paper or plate, and I'm going to concentrate on the negative bit here. Obviously, glass plates were most popular because they were nice and flat, and glass was easily available. In 1896, somebody, and I don't know who that was because I didn't look it up, introduced cellulose nitrate. Now, because the room is full of chemists, I don't have to tell you what's wrong with that. And it had a nasty habit of doing some fairly unpredictable things. And in fact, in about 1928, it burned down a hospital in America. They had X-ray products which they stored, and they weren't storing them very well, obviously, and the whole place burned down. This produced a drive to try and find a replacement, and indeed cellulose acetate was introduced, and I can say that it's still used today as the main film base for photography. And polyester is also used. See what this sort of stuff looks like. This is sheet film, which is still made by Ilford, I'm glad to say. In here, there should be a piece. I'll put a piece of tape across this one under the bedclothes. I don't know whether I fold it or not, but and just to show the effect of printout. And that is polyester base. Now the thing about polyester base is, unless you're Jeff Capes, you can't tear it. Which is fantastic, and it's extremely dimensionally stable, so you don't have any problem with the image moving about if you want to do critical measurements. Problem with that is if you put it in the back of a camera and it jams with a 35mm camera where you're winding it on. I've actually seen cameras which have been bent in half, which have put polyester in the back. So a nice acetate film, which is just absolutely Fuji, but it's bought in China. So, you can tear that. You watch this on there, tear that. Yes, I can. I'm going to tear that. So you can tear that. So if the camera jams, you still got your camera, but you wasted it. So that was how that progressed on paper. All products were coated on plain paper at first, and then coated on baryta. Now, baryta is a word that's used inside the industry, which refers to barium sulfate in some sort of size, which they keep a great secret. And I think it's just gelatin actually, but when we tried to get the paper manufacturer to tell us what it was. And then we moved on to polyethylene coated paper used for black and white. And the reason for that was, and I was talking to someone earlier about this, sort of tangentially, is it dries very quickly, it doesn't absorb water. So you can put it through a processing machine and get a print within 2-3 minutes. So that is polyethylene. This is actually a fine art paper, but it's like that baryta, and that is still used for exhibition prints even today. And in fact, the most recent product introduced by Ilford, which was just before I left, was on baryta paper. So some things are just as good when they're old as when they're young. I always like to feel I'm in that category. And in paper, in terms of the companies, Agfa were founded in 1867, which was the earliest one, and that, does everybody know what that stands for? Axiom Gesellschaft for Aniline Fabrication. And so they actually named themselves after what they used to do before they introduced it. Then Konishiroku, founded in 1873, so Kodak 1888, Fuji Photo in 1934, which is quite late. It was quite late on. And of course Polaroid, which was slightly off to the side. Now, obviously the people I know most about are Kodak and Ilford, because I spent a lot of my time at Kodak trying to persuade them to let us make things for them. So that would be great. But the man who changed the world as far as photography was concerned was George Eastman, who his famous statement is, "You press the button, we do the rest." And they invented this camera, which had never been seen before, because up to that point they were massive, big things that you planted on your back. And the thing they introduced was the box brownie. And that was a picture on top of the original. In 1900, they introduced one with a viewfinder. So how the hell you take a picture of before that? I have no idea. But that was the state of the art in those days, and it transformed the market, completely transformed the market. And then, of course, he did the other brilliant thing, which was to make a roll film. Obviously, you can do that with glass. It was a bit tricky. So when he introduced cellulose nitrate, he actually rolled it up. And I wouldn't have liked to have worked in that factory, but they did that in 1889, which is a hell of a long time ago. And of course, the French were very big into motion picture film, and they bought a lot of this. And that's just a bit of boasting at the bottom there about the Oscars that won. I felt I was put that in. This is my hero, Alfred Harman, who founded Ilford in 1879, and as Peter said in the introduction, unfortunately went into receivership in 2005, and myself and some others bought the black and white business out of receivership. It's still going, I'm pleased to say, and it's is on that site there in Mobley in Cheshire, so it's just, you know, Knutsford. Most people know that because there's a service station there on the M6. It's about 4 miles from there. And this building here, that one there, just to give you some scale, is about 120 metres long, and that's where the coating is done. And when this was running flat out, it was producing a football pitch about every 4 minutes of paper. So it gives you an impression of the sort of size this business was. Now, not so much. But they still only make black and white products, not white, that's not quite true, but it's black and white products, and 95% of everything is made there. The basis of photography. Very simple chemistry this. As I said, I haven't done chemistry for a long time, so I had to make it fairly straightforward. And I always bring with me a do-it-yourself kit, which is some salt, my wife's silver bracelet, some nitric acid, which I've got in a bottle down there, which I'll dissolve the bracelet in a minute, and of course some jelly, which is absolutely essential for the process, because otherwise all the crystals stick together. And this actually is a jelly I bought from Poundland, believe it or not. You wouldn't believe how difficult it is to get jelly these days, which is quite interesting. And this is nowhere near as pure as the gelatin that's used in the photographic process. I wouldn't eat the stuff we use, but it's much purer than this. And the reason for that is that having any impurities, particularly sulfur, is very difficult for photographic process. So I've never actually sold my wife's bracelet. I think it's probably safer not to. But I have actually demonstrated with silver nitrate and made an emulsion in front of people. I decided not to do it today. Mainly because silver is so expensive. So this is a modern emulsion plant, which is Mobley, and this actually is from about 1950, I think. I haven't got the exact date. And that is the emulsion making process. And this is the emulsion is prepared in that big vessel, and we put in those small ones before it goes into the coating process, because it needs to be more dilute. And that is what it looks like today. That's something called an ultrafiltration vessel, and it's like a big milking machine, really. If you remember the equation, you end up with a lot of sodium nitrate. Actually, we use ammonium. And so you end up with a lot of ammonium nitrate, and that's the last thing you want in your emulsion. So we reverse osmosis to wash that out to a certain level. So, and that's the machine, and that's the manager of the emulsion plant. See, the emulsion plant. See, I can't get out of it. It's a dispersion. And what you end up with if you use that process that I was going to use over there is crystals, and you can see the distribution of particle size. You know, sort of an average particle size down here, which is about 0.8 microns, something like that. And you can see there's a very wide spread of sizes. Now, depending on how big the crystal is, depends how much light you need to make it turn into silver. So you want crystals which are not wasted, so you don't want those small ones, and you certainly don't want those big ones, because they give you a rotten image quality. You end up with big lumps of silver, which you can see when you're enlarged, and so the image breaks down. So there's a lot of work being done on how you make crystals. Historically, there was double jetting, which is a fancy making two tubes and shoving them into a big vessel and the halide and silver, and you end up with crystals in the others. Completely uncontrolled. There was something called controlled crystal growth, which was a great breakthrough when it was done. And what you try and do is keep the concentration in the vessel at the same level all the time. So the crystal was sort of growing in the same environment. That worked very well, and you can make some very interesting crystals doing that. But the method, which is probably the most recent, is something called rapid mixing. And I've got a really shocking diagram, which the engineers at Ilford laughed at when they saw it the first time, but I think I'm quite proud of it. And the idea is that you produce your silver halide crystals in a very small compartment here, and you have very rapid mixing. That hence the name, very imaginative, of course. And it's really turbocharged mixing with a sort of shear mixing device in there. And the idea of that is that you You inject these things in, then you pump them out so that all the crystals are formed or grow in a very similar environment. They're very similar to each other. And because you can control that very small vessel, you can change the halide that you're using. So you could use iodide to start, bromide, chloride on the outside, or mixtures of any of those things. And they do all sorts of different things. The conditions in the small chamber allow you to grow something that we call core shell emulsions, and which sounds very fancy, and actually I don't believe it works, but I've seen diagrams that tell me it does. And literally, you can grow the middle of the crystal to give you sensitivity. Now, if you have silver iodide, it's sensitive a long way into the green light, whereas silver bromide is mainly blue, and silver chloride is UV and near blue. So you can put iodide in the core, and that will extend your sensitivity. The problem with that is it won't develop, because it's so insoluble. So by building out the outside with something else, you get good developability and good sensitivity. So the idea of building crystals like that is really clever, I think. And what's even cleverer about it is you can build crystals that look like this. Now, that's traditional at the top there. Those are, they used to be called Littman emulsion. They're used for holography. They're, if you look, these are 20 to 40 nanometers. And just to give an impression for those who aren't familiar, shooting here is about 100,000 nanometers. So you get the impression these are pretty small. And you can't see them. I mean, the emulsion is clear. When you look at it, it's clear. So it's below, it's a little clear. And then you can change the morphology. You can make these core shells, which are these big sort of hexagons. Yeah, you get some noise. And you can grow these things, yeah, epitaxial silver, where you grow a big crystal and you grow things on the tips. We never did find a use for it, but it isn't it clever? So the process of latent image formation, you have APU, which is just a photon coming in, and what happens is it releases an electron. Because silver halide is the way it is, it reacts to light by pumping an electron into what in the photographic business we call the conduction band. I don't know whether that's good physics or not, but that's what we call it. And it literally is, you've got all these electrons quite happily bobbing about and wherever they are. Then you inject some light in there and they bounce up into this conduction band and they start flying around the outside of the crystal. And you create what we call a hole, which is sort of the absence of an electron. And then by doing that, you get another electron that reacts with silver ions, which can be in solution, or they can be inside the crystal itself, which will then interact with it. And you end up with specks of silver, and you need 6 atoms of silver for it to be what we call a latent image, which means that the developer can see it and therefore develop it. So you know, when you develop it, you can actually see what you photograph. So it's only 6 atoms. That's incredible, really. And there are methods now which get that down to about 4. And I'll touch on that. But there are problems because, of course, the hole can then not go away, which is what you wanted to do. It can react again with the silver, and you go back to where you were before. So that's called latent image loss. And that's, if you keep a film without storing it properly, the image will fade. And the reason it fades is because of that reaction. So you've got to trap that. Sulfur sensitization, sulfur's in gelatin. That was started to be introduced about 1920 in what you call a controlled fashion, and it increased the sensitivity, so it lowered the exposure time by a factor of 10. I mean, that's a huge change. And then after the war, although in the book about Ilford, which is called Silver by the Ton, which was written after 100 years, it says that Ilford actually had gold sensitization before the war. It didn't really. We stole it from Magpie after the war. And you use gold, and it effectively plates the latent image that looks fair and keeps it safe, stops oxygen attacking it. And so you can increase the sensitivity by a further 5 times. So you can imagine this is a huge change in the sensitivity of crystals. And more recently, other techniques are used, which I haven't got time going into. But just to give you a quick impression, there's sort of the pretend latent image on the surface. You've got these things called interstitial silver ions, or you can have silver in solution, and it acts like a sort of anode, and it acts like a cathode. When you add hydroquinone, which is the developer of choice normally, that injects electrons and starts to build the latent image. That's how development works. And so you end up with these filaments of silver which are created because that anode is there. And so it's, that's the way development works, and just to prove it, there are some pictures of silver crystals which have been exposed and then developed. You can see the silver bunching in filaments around the crystal. Now, I haven't got time to talk about image quality and all that sort of stuff. Sorry, but that's another talk. And I talked about the idea that you needed to extend the sensitivity of this blue sensitive crystal, and these are the sorts of dyes. I did a lot of work on this when I was first a research chemist, and I could do another talk on that, but I haven't got time. They're carbocyanins, and the ones that I used to concentrate on were where Y was selenium and X was selenium. And that was a red sensitizing dye. It pushed it right out into the far red. And that was my speciality at the time. But I can't remember anything now. And that's the effect. So this is effectively exposing with and without sensitizing dyes. And the way black and white works is you have what's called a panchromatic dye in our business to make it sensitive to all wavelengths. Just going to talk about coating very briefly. Now, I told you about the gelatin. Now, the good thing about jelly is when it gets warm, it gets liquid. And when you chill it down, it gets solid again. Now, it's a really useful thing because it means you can store your emulsions in a cold store and the crystals don't settle to the bottom, because that would be really convenient. So, gelatin, there's never been a substitute for gelatin, never. They've tried loads of polymers and you just can't get the same properties. So gelatin is still used. And what you can do is you can heat it up, it will go liquid, you can then add things to it to make it spread, and then you use what's called coating in our industry, and other things it's called something else. And dip drop was literally what it says. You had a piece of paper or film which dipped into a trough of emulsion, then went out, and you left it to dry for about 3 days, and then you could use it for taking pictures on. Nowadays, you can see at the bottom there's what's called curtain coating, this one at the bottom. I've got a better picture of that actually. Air blade, you put on more than you needed and you blew it off with a big jet of air. It's a strange thing to do, but you could coat faster, that was the thing, so you needed the capacity. This is Harman Technologies technology. We have a sort of halfway house, which is there's a gap between where the emulsion comes out and where it hits the film base, and then it's taken away to dry. What's clever about it is those layers don't mix. So I've been to the Polaroid plant where they made their instant photography, and they coated 21 layers at a time. Can you imagine that all balanced on top of each other? You have to get the viscosities exactly right, otherwise they mix, and then that's really no good at all, because they've got all different functions. And you can see that it works because there's an electron micrograph, just a micrograph, photo micrograph of the product, and there's an electron micrograph on the right. So it does work, they don't mix. It's very clever. That's one of the bits of the process I don't really understand, I'm to be honest. Because why don't they mix? It's a bit like flying. I know all about aerodynamics, but I still don't believe that a plane stays in the air. I mean, it's just, that makes sense. So, since 1840, there are all these things which have been done, and I put at the bottom excellent colour reproduction, because I haven't got time to talk about that, so I'll put that at the bottom of that list. And you can see the things that have been done gradually to make photography what it was. And unfortunately, something happened about the time we got to this stage, which completely changed the market. I'm glad to say that black and white has not suffered as much as colour from the digital revolution, because people take black and white pictures not to record an event, which is what colour's about. They take black and white because they like to create an image of what they've seen or what they're experiencing. So those images there are not exact reproductions of what happened. They are a creation, an artistic creation. So the people who use black and white are creative, they're not photographers in that sense. And so, digital. The first person who used a focus sensor was a guy called Lally, who worked for a jet propulsion lab, And he used a mosaic on a photo sensor to take pictures. He fortunately didn't realise what he'd got, and so he just went, that's interesting, and left it. There was a patent for a filmless camera which actually didn't work. All he did was patent the idea, which is clever, but yeah, I could have thought that probably. But it was the guy at Kodak in 1975, Sasson, or Sisson as he used to like to be called, who actually invented the first digital camera. And do you know what Kodak did with that? They put it in a cupboard, and they thought, my God. So they left it in the cupboard. And in 1981, I was at the big exhibition in Germany called Photokina, which happened every 2 years, and it's a big photo exhibition. And I can remember in 1982 seeing that camera for the first time and thinking, oh, this is the beginning of the end. Okay, it was 2 megapixels, which is really horrible resolution. A colour negative film of 400 ASA, ISO 400 speed, is about 26 megapixels. It's not, you can't remember exactly, but it's that sort of level. So you can see it's pretty poor. And so lots of people went, huh, got no chance. And there it is. It's a brick, it really was a big brick. But this is the way it's changed. It's up to 39 megapixels by 2008. That's how quickly this has developed. It's incredible. From 1980, really, which was the birth of it, in 18 years it's gone to that level. And what's even more scary is that's what it's done to analog photography. So these are analog cameras, effectively. Disappeared. So you can't buy an analog camera, not a new one. You can actually in Japan, but they're very difficult to get. And the other thing that's happened is that a camera is no longer a camera, it's a phone. Phones are the way you take images now. The whole business has gone from that, from my known person in Fox Talbot, to this, where you've got something in your pocket. It's absolutely incredible that it's changed that rapidly. And that is the history of photography. It took 140 years to get it right, and then somebody invented the digital camera, and all that work was wasted. But we couldn't wait when we had to do it. But, and it now dominates, and the mobile camera is now the device of choice. So that's it. That's the history of photography very quickly. Thank you.